Let me ask you a question. What if the reason you're broke isn't because you don't make enough money? What if it's because every time money enters your hands, you already have a plan for how to spend it? You get paid. And suddenly there's food to buy, bills to pay, subscriptions you barely use, things you deserve, and purchases you never planned to make. Then, somehow, 2 weeks later, you're broke again. And the cycle repeats. You promise yourself, next month will be different, but next month comes and nothing changes. Here's the uncomfortable truth. You cannot spend your way out of being broke. If you want your life to change, you have to change the way you think about money. Imagine two people. They both earn the same amount of money. One gets paid and immediately starts thinking, what can I buy? The other asks, what can this money do for me? That single difference can completely change their futures. The first person spends everything trying to look successful. New clothes, new phone, restaurants, entertainment, things they don't actually need. They aren't buying happiness. They're buying temporary relief. The second person understands something most people learn too late. Money is not just something you spend. Money is a tool. Every dollar you waste is a dollar that could have bought you time, freedom, skills, or opportunities. And that's why being broke isn't always about how much you earn. Sometimes it's about what you do with what you already have. One of the fastest ways to stay broke is trying to convince everyone that you're not. You don't need the newest phone. You don't need expensive clothes. You don't need to impress people who won't be there when your bank account hits zero. And you definitely don't need to go into debt just to look successful on social media. Because here's the part nobody wants to hear. Looking rich and being wealthy are two completely different things. The person driving an expensive car might be drowning in debt. The person wearing simple clothes might have money invested, savings in the bank, and no one to impress. Stop trying to win a competition nobody officially started. You don't need to look rich. You need to become financially strong. So, what do you actually do? Start with one simple rule. Spend less than you make. It sounds obvious, but millions of people completely ignore it. If you make more money and immediately increase your lifestyle, you're not getting richer. You're simply becoming more expensive to maintain. You get a raise, then you upgrade your apartment. You get another raise, then you buy a better car. You start earning more. Then your expenses grow even faster. And suddenly you're making twice what you used to make, but somehow you're still broke. That's lifestyle inflation. And it can keep you trapped forever. Instead, when your income increases, let your savings and investments increase before your lifestyle does. The second rule is uncomfortable. You need to know where your money is going. Track it. Every purchase, every subscription, every delivery, every unnecessary expense, because you can't fix what you refuse to measure. You might discover that the problem isn't one huge expense. It's 20 small ones. $5 here, $10 there, another subscription, another impulse purchase, another food delivery. None of them feel dangerous individually, but together they quietly destroy your financial future. And once you see the numbers, you can finally take control. Not because you're trying to live a miserable life, but because you're deciding what actually deserves your money. But there's another problem. Saving alone won't necessarily change your life. At some point, you need to increase your ability to earn. Learn something valuable, develop a skill, become better at something people are willing to pay for. Sales, coding, design, writing, marketing, video editing, copywriting, carpentry, whatever it is, become useful. Because the goal isn't to spend your entire life obsessing over saving pennies. The goal is to become someone who can create more value. If you can increase your income while keeping your expenses under control, something powerful happens. You create margin. And margin gives you options. Imagine waking up one morning and realizing you don't have to panic about your next paycheck. You have savings. You have skills. You have less debt. You have control over your spending. And most importantly, you don't need to impress anybody. That is what financial freedom begins to feel like. Not private jets, not mansions, not showing off, just peace. The ability to say no to things you don't want. The ability to handle an emergency without your entire life collapsing. The ability to leave a bad situation because you aren't financially trapped. That's the real goal. So if you're broke right now, don't hate yourself for it, but don't romanticize it either. Your current situation doesn't have to become your permanent identity. Start small. Stop spending to impress people, track your money. Cut the expenses that don't matter. Avoid unnecessary debt. Build an emergency cushion. Learn valuable skills. Find ways to increase your income. And when you start making more money, don't immediately start living like you're rich. Build wealth first, because the person who looks rich today might be broke tomorrow. And the person quietly building behind the scenes, they might be the one who eventually buys their freedom. So stop asking, how can I look successful? Start asking, how can I become financially unstoppable? Because being broke isn't a life sentence. But staying broke while refusing to change, that's a choice. And your next paycheck can either continue the cycle or become the moment you finally break it. The choice is yours.